I have to say I was rather intrigued by this tweet here from Avon and Somerset Road Safety Team when they said they took this Lamborghini off the road because the driver had apparently forgotten to insure it. Easily done, you might think, or perhaps not, because when I looked this vehicle up, I'm no expert in Lamborghinis or cars in general for that matter, but it looks a little bit like this one here, which is the Lamborghini Urus. Lamborghini Urus, the pronunciation of which I get from the head of Lamborghini for Japan, because it was mentioned in a YouTube video when I was looking for this car here. Now, this vehicle, if it is the correct vehicle, starts at £160,000. Now, you might think that having been so elated from bringing this vehicle home, such a stunning variety of one of the world's supercars, you might just perhaps forget to insure it. I'm not quite sure that that would happen to me, or probably many of you. But maybe if you're buying so many things, or you're assured that someone else has insured it for you, then you might think that it is insured, or you might just have an excuse as to why it isn't. However, the problem with that is it's not going to be an excuse when it comes to being charged with driving without insurance. This is a strict liability offence. Now, some of them are heard in court, depending on the seriousness of the circumstances, and of course, whether or not you plead guilty, considering it's a strict liability offence. There are very few defences that are going to be available here, and most of those are not what I would call a proper defence. Most of these would revolve around what we refer to as special reasons. It's essentially just that, a special reason why you are driving without insurance. The most common of which is probably that you genuinely believed it was insured. Or secondly, and possibly linked to that, is that the insurance company cancelled the policy but without notifying you. Of course, there's going to be a burden of proof at play here. You're going to have to show some evidence as to why it is that you genuinely believed you were insured. Obviously, and I hope it goes without saying, that just saying you believed you were insured is not enough. You would have to show that you'd at least gone through the steps and the process of arranging insurance and paying for insurance. And one of the most common that probably pops up here is when you take out new insurance and you don't give them the proof of your no claims within 14 days, because most insurance companies are going to cancel the policy after that period of time if you haven't given them the proof of your no claims discount. So it's absolutely vital that if you take out insurance with a new company, that you get your certificate from the old company and you furnish the new one with it. Otherwise, you might find yourself in a position where your new insurance company just cancels the policy because you didn't give them that proof of your no claims discount. Of course, that's important because the no claims discount has given you the discount off your new policy, but that was a condition upon which they sold you the policy in the first place at the price that they did. From memory, I think the maximum discount is 9+ years for roughly a third off the price of your insurance. I seem to remember that because the last conversation I had about it, I haven't had any claims on my insurance for 20 years or something of that nature. So it's about 9 years, I think, is the maximum, which gives you roughly 1/3. If anyone works in the car insurance industry, please let me know in the comments below. What is the definitive threshold for the maximum no claims discount that you can get on a policy? That's roughly what I was told the last time I had the conversation. But back to the point, if there's any other reason that your insurance might be invalid, that would be a technical driving without insurance, because your insurance would be void or invalidated because, let's say, there were modifications to the vehicle that you didn't tell the insurance company about. Then if you've made those modifications without telling them, they haven't agreed and they haven't granted the policy on the basis of those modifications, technically you could void your insurance, and then technically your insurance is not valid. Then technically you're driving without insurance. These might all amount to special reasons. All they will really do probably is to reduce the penalty you get if you are convicted of driving without insurance, because on some level at least you believed that you were. But let's say that this vehicle had lots and lots of modifications, and this includes changing the color, by the way, because that's important for various reasons, legal reasons. When the vehicle is involved in a crime or some other kind of collision, you need to be honest with the insurance company about any questions they ask you, and when they ask you if you've made any modifications, you need to be honest with your insurance company when they're asking you questions questions about this vehicle, and you need to tell them any and all modifications you've made to that vehicle if they ask you that question, which, by the way, they almost always do. So any of the above could, in theory, invalidate your insurance and you'll be driving without insurance. But, as in this case here, simply having forgotten to insure the vehicle is not going to cut it. Although some dealerships do give you a courtesy drive-away insurance policy. I remember having one such thing some years ago. I forget which vehicle and when, but I did have a drive-away insurance policy. But even then, I was so paranoid about having insurance for the vehicle that I made sure that I phoned my own insurance company and made sure that that vehicle was on cover before I set foot into the vehicle. Other fairly common things that can invalidate your insurance are telling your insurance company that it's in a garage when it isn't, telling them that it's on a driveway when it isn't, it's really parked on the street. Believe it or not, these are very common things, but very easy for your insurance company to find out if you've been dishonest. If you tell them that you're at a particular address and the vehicle is in a garage and it isn't, and they find out, not only can they invalidate your insurance, but they can also put a marker against your name for fundamental dishonesty. That could make it difficult for you to get insurance in the future because it will go on the database, and then other insurance companies might refuse you insurance because you've been dishonest about something. And then when you're applying for new insurance and they ask you this question, have you ever been refused insurance before? Now, most of you have probably thought to yourselves, why are they asking me whether I've been refused insurance? Surely if I want to pay for insurance, they will sell me insurance. Well, this is usually the most common reason. If someone has been fundamentally dishonest, either about their insurance policy or through a road traffic collision, and they've been fundamentally dishonest, they've been found to be fundamentally dishonest through the court claim, then the insurance company might then later refuse to provide you insurance. Once one has refused to provide you insurance, it's going to be extremely difficult to get any insurance company to provide you with insurance. Unless, of course, you're spending 2, 3 or more times the amount of insurance, because, of course, if you're a higher risk, which you will be if you've been found to be fundamentally dishonest, then you're only going to be able to go to these subprime insurance companies, which are going to charge you a fortune for the privilege of insuring your vehicle. Not only that, a vehicle like this, not to say that this particular vehicle was, but most vehicles like this will be bought on finance, and it will be a prerequisite agreement and condition of the finance that you maintain insurance on that vehicle. Otherwise, you could be in breach of your finance agreement and potentially give them all sorts of clauses to come and repossess the vehicle if you failed, for example, to maintain insurance on that vehicle. So I thought this was an interesting tweet. I thought there's lots of legal spin-offs for that with regard to insurance. Please don't be caught out by driving without insurance. Make sure you are honest with your insurers. You tell them about changes, including your name, by the way, because as I sit here thinking about it, if you change your name, you need to tell your insurance company that you've changed your name, because technically it's a different name on the policy, even though it's really you. So as I say, make sure you're insured, make sure it's up to date, make sure you don't let it expire. And if you're like the driver in this tweet and you really did forget to insure it, let this be a lesson to make sure you go and insure that vehicle. In the meantime, please do subscribe to my channel. It really helps my channel grow, and I'll see you next time.